Okay, so there has been a new talk around the NBA as Damian Lillard was on a podcast or a news outlet where he said he hates this time of the NBA that are so emphasized on rings and he hates ring culture. In this video, we'll be talking about ring culture and how dependent it is on an NBA player and how good it is for a player's legacy. Now, there's two things I want to talk about with the ring culture. One, rings affect a player's legacy. That's just how it's going to be. There is no changing that in a player's resume. Rings with the NBA championship is the pinnacle of the NBA season. It's what people watch and really want to see who's going to win the championship, what team has the best team, and what players showcase their abilities the best in an NBA season. So the thing about that is, rings is going to make you want to go to a different team and win a championship team. Because if you're in the NBA, you're in the NBA for two reasons: one, to play basketball at an elite level, or to be a legend in the basketball atmosphere. So if you're a player like LeBron James or you're a player like KD, in those caliber of players where you have amazing skills, you're a top echelon player in NBA history, you're gonna want to win rings to get your legacy up there. Because right now people have Jordan and LeBron as killed that people go. So you have to do a lot to be in those categories. So you winning championships, you winning MVPs, you winning accolades will help you be up there in the LeBron James, Michael Jordan category. So that's what people chase rings, but also people chase rings because the criticism you get from the media. The media always says that a player is so good but can they win a ring? A player is so good but they can't win a championship, how good they are. So that's why people chase rings, to shut the media up and to tell them that they're that good of a player. Because even though that the most notable NBA people who watch basketball understands that it's their skills that something as a good player, not how many accolades they win. Accolades come into play with you talk about the NBA player. Most people look at how good they play. Media outlets look at the championships and look at the accolades they win. So if you don't have a championship, you don't have an accolade, then you're not going to be in the media conversation. You'll be more criticized than you really uplifted. That's what really had Curry in 2015. People was like, "Oh, Curry's an amazing jump shooter. He's a good 3-point shooter, but can that help him win an NBA championship?" That's what really deferred Curry and in the NBA. And then when he won a championship in 2015 and then won it in 2017, 2018, then people really started loving Curry and it started 3-point evolution. People realized that threes really help in the NBA. So that's the thing about ring culture. Rings emphasize a player's legacy and it showcase their abilities. So that's why ring culture is becoming more and more a thing now, because more people want to become like Mike, more people want to become the GOAT and want to become in the top 10 of almost these categories. So that's why rings culture matters to a certain extent. But there's also another argument to the ring culture. There's a thing where people big up rings like it's the best thing in the world, when there's certain context and certain rings as well. So like for example, if you're an amazing NBA player and you have amazing skills but your team isn't good, we're not going to get mad at you for not winning championship and not winning accolades, but your team isn't good. But we're going to punish you for not taking the opportunity to go to a different team or go to a different player because you know your team is bad. There's two sides of the coin. If we know your team is not good enough to win an NBA championship or good enough to be able to compete and make you win an MVP, we know you're an MVP caliber player, but since you're not on teams that are MVP level teams, then we're not going to hold you too high to that standard and act like you're not that level. But to a certain extent, you can't go out and complain about your team when you have the ability to move around and go to a different team. That's what about Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard has the ability to win an MVP. He has the ability to win NBA championships. But when you complain about your team, you complain about ring culture, when you're the reason why people are talking about ring culture, because you can win rings, you can win championships, you can win accolades, but you're still in the Trailblazers. That's what really hurts me about Damian Lillard, which I understand Damian Lillard. I don't know how it would be if I'm in a meeting and they offer me that amount of money. If they offer me a bag, I don't know how I would feel either going to a team with less money or still on a team that is decent, is able to trouble the waters, and I can still have a great season. So I don't know how I feel about it because I'm not an NBA player. But if I'm Damian Lillard and I'm constantly complaining about my team and I'm constantly complaining about ring culture, people are going to use you as the face of ring culture because you should be able to win a rings. You have the ability to win a ring. You have the ability to win an MVP. You have the ability to have such a great NBA career, have such a good legacy, have such a good, just be an amazing NBA player. But you don't take the opportunity by still Bolton and Trailblazers. And I don't knock Damian Lillard for that. I don't knock him for for not leaving the team, but I knock his legacy and him not being in the top 10, top 5 point guards of all time because you're not playing at that level when you're not winning championships and you're not constantly elevating your play in the playoffs. That's why. So that's the thing about ring coaching is to me, there are two different things to it. You can't just keep on bigging up rings and emphasize rings over certain players because you can't do that. You can't just keep on having rings as your most argument. If that's the case, then Bill Russell should be your GOAT. But there are certain content and certain rings, and there are certain things you have to do to be up there in the top echelon of players. So there's two sides to ring culture. There is the too emphasized side where you emphasize rings too much and you act like a player is not good because they don't have a ring. That's stupid. But it's also a side where you act like it because they don't have a ring, I'm gonna have to be the top 10 player of all time, which is dumb because accolades also help you be in a top 10 player of all time because those accolades show how much you impacted the team and show how good you was on the championship teams. That's my thought on the ring culture. There's two different sides to it. Damian, I understand why Dame hates ring culture because I understand it too. People emphasize rings too much. But Dame cannot get mad at people for having him as the face of ring culture because he's the reason why people want him on a different team because he's on the Portland Trailblazers and that team absolutely sucks.